guys, what's up? It's Paul, and this is Toys in Motion. This is a show where I talk about action figures, customizing action figures, more action figures. I love this stuff, and I like to share it with you by opening these figures for the very first time on camera. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that mostly I do like Mythic Legions, some Cosmic Legions, and figures that go with Mythic Legions. But then I also have an immense love for horror. And so we're going to be doing a few different kind of videos. And this one is actually my first video ever on a superhero action figure. And this is a McFarlane action figure on top. Now this guy, when I saw him, I'm not going to lie to you, I saw him on a web page, Facebook, called The Cabal, where a lot of the Mythic Legions people like to go to share Mythic Legions stuff. And I saw this action figure with a different head on it. Now again, the custom aspects of being able to modify and do things with your action figures, that is my jam for the most part. So typically I don't collect any new superhero action figures. But when I saw this guy, I was like, wow, this is a really cool figure, and it really goes well with the Mythic Legions, which are like fantasy, sword and sorcery kind of based action figures. And this guy, I was like, damn, I gotta get him. I gotta do a review on this guy. I'm excited to bring him to you. We're gonna take a look at the figure together. We're going to talk about him. Then I'm going to open him up for you. I'm going to take a few pictures of him so we can see how he poses. I'm going to do a little custom thing with him, which you'll see later, and maybe even caught a glimpse of in the first couple pictures in the introduction. Shh, spoiler alert. And then we're going to come back and give a summary of what we think about this guy. So, with no further ado, Batman, Fight the Frozen. So right off the bat, this figure, you know, if you follow the Mythic Legions, you know, barbarian kind of mentality, figures like that. This guy, come on, of course I was going to get this Batman. This guy is beautiful. Now, this is one of the McFarlane toys that is ultra articulated, which I love articulation because I love to pose these guys up, you know, in the pictures and stuff, do little fight scenes. And I'm anxious to get my hands on this guy, open him up, and check out that articulation. You know, I'll tell you, it's a pretty cool looking figure. It's got some things about it that right off the bat, I'm like, how is this going to work? You know, I'm old school. So I remember the McFarlane toys from yesteryear and stuff, which weren't really necessarily action figures. They were more like little statues. You pop them open and, you know, you can't really pose them or anything. They're only pretty much, even though they moved a little, but as soon as you moved them out of whack, you know, there weren't no counterbalancing points for that articulation to pose them. They were pretty much locked in a stance. So this guy, I'm excited to see how the articulation is on this guy. See what you can do with him. Yeah, he's pretty cool. The plastic cape and some of the plastic parts, I feel like, you know, maybe it would have been a little better if they were cloth. And that's where my brain of a guy that likes to customize and such comes in, that I'm like, man, put some like real robes on this guy with some wire. I bet this guy would be a badass. And by the way, I also 3D print and design custom parts and stuff. If you want to see any of that stuff, check in the descriptions. There's a link to the page, Trollhead Studios. So this guy, I'm anxious, man. It even comes with a little comic book. The packaging is kind of standard like McFarlane, I guess. It's nothing very fancy. and there is no way to open this and reseal it. So, they kind of have that mentality of packaged for collectors to put on the wall. And that's cool and all. I have a ton of stuff around here that's never been opened. And, again, I always say it's your toys. You enjoy them the way you want to. This guy, though, he's getting ripped open. So let's take him over to the table. Let's cut him out of this plastic prison and have a look at what this figure really looks like. So let's take a look at the Batman fighting the Frozen figure and what he comes with. So first of all, let's take a look. He comes with a little trading card, which is pretty much the cover of the comic book. And then on the back of the trading card, there's a little write-up. If you want to, you can pause that and take a look at what it says. And then in here is the comic book that comes with the figure. It is not a lot of pages to it, but it is a, I guess, collector's comic book here. It's a number 1, and it gives the story of Batman. And the art is nice. It's, it's funny because when I hear a McFarlane figure, my mind thinks that the comic book should be like as if McFarlane had drawn it. And it's not quite that level, but it's a nice little comic book. And if you're into the comic books and the figures that go with them, there you go. Got a nice little pictures in the back of some of the things. So there is a look at the comic book and the card. Real quick, let's take a look at the weapons Batman comes with. Of course, it's got the bat symbol shape in it, but it's a neat little stone weapon. And then, of course, he comes with the battle axe, which, of course, also has the Batman symbol in it because, it seems like that's his thing. But the weapons are nice. They're bendable. They're not brittle or anything, and yet they're not too rubbery. So they're decent. Definitely got the Batman look to them. But they're nice little weapons. So here is a look at the Batman figure. He pretty much does not stand very well without the base. He's very, very heavy in the fact that his cape and everything is made of rubber. And that rubber really is heavy in the back and wants to pull him backwards a lot. And so I'm going to need to use the stand for him because otherwise he's just almost impossible to get the stand. And his legs tend to want to split. He has a very soft hip. So a lot of times by the time I'm done trying to get him to stand, he's half squatted. But let's take a look at the figure. He is interesting. Again, his legs are very limited. His articulation, although he's supposed to be ultra articulated, there are definitely some limitations in his articulation. He's got the little toe that bends. His ankles don't really have any side to side. They have a little bit of a couple clicks worth of changing this, and you can spin them out and back, but there's no rotation in the heel. His knee with this double joint kicks way back to here. It's pretty far, but again, it's kind of a not attractive joint. But the worst part is there's no hip rotation. Because he has no hip rotation, his knees are always locked in this kind of a pose. You can't turn it out, which makes it much more difficult to try to pose and to get him to stand, because you can't find that balancing point with the figure that he needs to have those legs roll out. So because his legs don't roll out, it really limits the posing on this guy. You can't really get him into a pose because you can't really spin his hips. So he ends up kind of looking awkward. If his hips turned and you had that articulation, then you could do more with the figure. I mean, you can get him down on one knee, sort of, because his knees bend a lot, you know. But still, that the leg swivel is just bad. The waist is pretty good. He's got a lot of articulation in there. It's interesting, you know, but again, when you kick him, you know, you can get him to stand. There you go. So great waist. His arms and everything go way out. His arms, the way this is, you can see how it spins there. Then this spins too. You know, so you can get a nice movement, in his double elbow hinge kicks way in, so you can get his hand like to his mouth or anything like that. So the upper body has good articulation. He's just if it had those swivels on those legs, it would be such a better figure to pose. That's my biggest complaint with the figure, is that he doesn't have that spin. The only other thing really is his forearms, and his forearms don't have any spin. His arm rotates up here above the bicep, but there's no kind of swivel. You can't swivel his forearms. His wrists go in. He has good wrist movement, and his wrists spin. You know, you can spin him around, but he doesn't have that ability to rotate the forearms, which limits it a little bit when you're trying to pose him. But it's a very nice figure. I like the sculpt on the face and everything. It's a little bit rough looking, but I feel like it's that way intentionally. And, you know, the sculpt on the figure itself is pretty good. Even, you know, the skirt, it has this plastic skirt thing. It's a pretty nice figure, the detailing on it and everything. Again, a little bit better ankles and these rotating hips would have made such a big difference. But it's a nice figure. You know, he's, anyways, the cape, you know, with the plastic cape and everything it's nice, but it's so heavy in the back that it wants to pull him backwards. But I think when you see the pictures, you know, I'm going to do some pictures, and he's an impressive looking figure standing there. And with the stand, he's a lot easier to stand, and he looks fantastic. Now I'm going to show you everybody how he comes apart. So when people are looking at him and wanting to know how he is for customizing, they get an idea of what's under this. So first of all, he has a little bit of glue that holds this stuff down, the cape and the collar. His head pops right off, and the kind of connect it has. So there's your little fixed ball socket or ball that joint thing that moves around in there. It moves, and that pops into the neck hole, and it's got that type of neck hole on it. So this thing pops down in there. Now, if you do pop the head off, it is easier if you heat this piece up. It'll make it a little easier to get the head back on if you take this head off of it. But you put your heat on here and heat this up and then push that in, and it'll work good. Now, as far as the cape and the neck piece. So this thing is glued on in the most minimal way. And as it comes off here, you can see where it was glued on. There was a little patch of glue. These little black spots is where the inside of that was glued on. You can kind of see the shiny glue there. And then there's a little bit in the back as well. And there it was. That's where it was glued on. He has these weird cuts in his lats, his chest, and his back where they made it key in to this piece with the bat symbol. So, you know, that goes in and it kind of keys in there I feel like it was so unnecessary to do. Why did they feel like they had to do that? Now, let's take a look. So the cape, you can clearly see, until I drop it, you can clearly see there how the cape just keys into these two things, these two knobs, and that was the cape on there. Now, it was pretty much, I think, just glued on the tiniest little bit, like right there, and maybe a tiny bit of glue there. So it wasn't very glued on. You know, you can see the knobs and everything. So, you know, this, I don't know if this will sit well on another figure unless you go in and cut all this out. Now, this is really soft rubber, so it would be very, very easy to Dremel that out and use this on something else if you so desired to. And again, this cape, the way they have it is pretty much, you know, gonna fit there. Maybe, you know, if you're good at customizing, you could attach it under something and have it work. But this is the main thing I wanted to show you as the customizers out there. His arm also pops off really, really easy. He's got the little shoulder cuff, and there's your socket for the arm and the ball joint. So that pops back on, and then the arm pops on. Oh, there it goes. Pops off really, really easy. The waist on this guy, again, just a simple ball socket. This piece, oh, this is glued on a little. You can see it's glued right there. This piece feels like it's glued on better than the cape, but we're gonna oh, he's got like, oh, isn't that weird? So I just realized that this guy has like rubber underwear on. It's kind of, I didn't even realize. I thought it was going to be hard plastic. So this is this two pieces? I guess this is technically two pieces, but it's glued on. You can see the patch of glue there. And this is actually like a soft rubber underwear. I thought this was going to be a hard plastic piece back here. So you can kind of see it given, I think. And it's like really soft. And so look down there. You can kind of see it attaches in the front and the back. So I would say this waist piece, if you really wanted to get this thing off, you can get it off. It's glued on in a couple spots, but be careful doing it, because if you lose this underwear piece, you know, that's going to be a tricky piece to try to replace. Yeah, that would be a trick. So, but there's a look at his inner workings of his legs. You can see, I think his legs, I don't know, not entirely sure how that pops apart down there. So, but I'm not going to take his legs apart because I'm showing you the figure. So if you want to take it apart or whatever, you see how to do it. So there you go. There's that no spin. You can see the legs down there. They're just missing that piece. And the upper, here's again a look at the upper torso and what you have to work with when you, if you're going to customize this. He has nice crunch and everything. So did the hands come off? I don't think so. I'm not sure. To me, this does not look like a hand that's going to pop off. See, it has like a pin in there, and that pin's almost like under this thing. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to switch them. But the arms pop right off, and you have this. Well, let's take a look real quick before I throw this guy back together. Let's take a look at a Mythic Legions figure. This is a Mythic Legions figure. If anyone doesn't know, this is the Barbarian builder. So we're going to just take a look at a couple little things just to compare them. So I'm going to pop his head off, and you can see the size of the neck and the neck hole, opposed to like a Mythic Legions. This head, I stuck a little blue tack in there just to keep it nice and snug. But so you can see that the neck here doesn't necessarily fit straight into Mythic Legion's head. So now if you put something on there, I don't think you're going to get this out of there. I don't think the way it's put together without, well, maybe you could. But I think you'd need to put something in there to really attach the head correctly. But as you can see, his horns do that. With Mythic Legions, you can switch out the horns. So, it didn't break, it just pops off. That's one of the cool things about the Mythic Legions. If you don't know, check out some of the videos I do. So anyway, that's good. It hides the big hole in his chest. You can still see these. But not bad for customizing. And let's take a look at the Mythic Legions. Oh, let's do two things. I'm going to pull these pauldrons off real quick. And let's see how his arm in comparison to the Mythic Legion's arm. So let's pull his arm off. Big arm. That's a big arm on there. And obviously it doesn't fit. If you were to cut the knob, the circle off, it would probably fit in there. Interesting thought. And of course the opposite is with the Mythic Legions, now you got a tiny arm. And I show this to people just again so you can see the customizing aspects of it. And we'll pop the Mythic Legions guy apart. You can see. Let me show you too real quick while I'm here. This is what I'm talking about. See the Mythic Legions legs? You see how it can turn, come back? It has that pivot that allows you to turn the knees out. That's what the other figure lacks. But let's take a look. The waist, you can see Mythic Legions wise, the ball socket's way bigger than the hole. So hard plastic, maybe it could be carved out, but just to give you an idea. And let's see. So this guy, you can sit him down in there, but he sits pretty low, with the way this is. He does fit in there, though. So there's a look at how our dismantled Batman now fits with Mythic Legions in a way that people that may be wanting to customize or wondering if this figure is a good candidate for customizing. Let's see. There she goes. Now you know. Now you see for yourself the goods and the bads, the divots in the shoulders, the divot in the chest, how it fits with Mythic Legions. Now I'm going to do a custom on this guy when I do some pictures, because I have a head that I sell on our website, which is trollheadstudios.com, and there's a link in the description below. And I'm going to use one of my heads that the amazing Jason Rodriguez sculpted, and I'm going to do that with this guy because I'm really excited to do something different with this figure, because again, I like to do the customizing. So we're going to put this guy back together now, and we're going to take some pictures of him, and I'm going to take a couple pictures of the custom version, and then we'll wrap it up when we're done. Yeah, good idea. Toys in Motion. Subscribe. Okay. So that was Batman Fighting the Frozen. He was an interesting action figure to do a review on. You know, I try to always be straight up and honest about these figures. And there's definitely things about this figure that I don't like as much as the Mythic Legions figures. Because again, I like to pull my toys out and play with them, you know? At least these guys. So when it comes to that aspect, you know, I try to just be honest, because I know there's people out there that might watch my video and it's going to make an impact on them as to whether or not they want to purchase this figure. Both for like the collecting of just a Batman figure, but also the customizers that are wondering if this is a good figure to use as a base figure to do custom work on. So I try to be straight up and let you guys know and let you guys make up your own mind by presenting the whole thing. But just once again, you know, I'm not a hater, man. I love the toy community and the collector community, and there is no wrong answer for what you like to collect. I just try to present it to you. So thank you very much for letting me do that for you, letting me be there to show you these different toys. And I appreciate y'all for subscribing to the channel, liking the videos, for commenting. Please keep it coming, man. We got a bunch more, and I'm excited because I think maybe next I'm going to hit this here Diamond Select Hulk. Man, you know, Diamond Select is another company that I don't know that I've done any reviews on up to now. And the Hulk figure, he really has a very impressive look to him. And I'm dying to rip him open and see how poseable he is. And I got a custom thing for him in mind too that I'm pretty damn excited about. And it's still going to be the Hulk, but you'll just have to subscribe and check that video out to see where I'm going with this. But thank you all again, and we will see you next time on Toys in Motion.